Hey guys, what's up? This is Don and welcome to another After Effects tutorial. And today I'm going to be showing you how to create this particle animation right here. This is from a project which I've been working on just in my spare time. It's just kind of like a side thing. So here's what I have so far, and I'll be showing you how to make only the first one today. But let's take a look. So that's all I have for now. We'll probably be finishing this sometime soon. But yeah, let's take a look at how to create this first one right here. And for this, we're going to be using Trapcode Particular, which is the most powerful third-party particle generator for After Effects. Anyway, so I'm going to create a new comp. Just call it main. 960 by 540, 24 FPS, duration, let's have 5 seconds for that. And then I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to create a new solid, call this particles, and then hit OK. And then we'll load up the effect. So a Trapcode, and then it is particular. Okay, and by default we have this thing. I'm going to get a new light and call this Emitter. It's very important that you call it Emitter simply because of the way that Particular is set up. If I go to the emitter settings and set the emitter type to lights or light, now wherever the light goes, it's gonna follow. The particles are gonna follow wherever the light goes, and this will only happen if your light is called emitter. You can change this if you go to options and light name starts with. You can change this to something like light, for example. And when I hit OK, I will rename my light to light, and now the particles will reappear again. So just make sure that the name of this matches up to this word here. Okay, so with that, let's start building the animation. I'm gonna get the light. I'm gonna position it 480, which is right in the middle of the screen, and move this down to here. Let's bring it to 0 in the Z space. Let's move it back down again. And I will set a keyframe here, go to the end of the animation, and push this up to the near the top, somewhere like here. So we have this. Let's go to the particle settings. I'm going to set the velocity to 0, the velocity random to 0, velocity from motion to 0, and then the emitter size X, Y, and Z also are going to be zeroed out. And the particles, a second modifier, put this to none. So we just end up with a line of particles traveling upward. Okay, let's increase the life of the particles to be 5 seconds, which basically means that at any moment we'll always have particles in our scene, since our comp is a total of 5 seconds. And I'm gonna go to the physics settings and go to the air, and let's go for turbulence field. And effect position, let's use 600. So we end up with something which looks like this. It's kind of snaky looking line. And you can visualize what the turbulence field is doing by turning on the visualize fields. Okay, let's go to the aux system. Aux stands for auxiliary, and auxiliary means secondary. So these are secondary particles. If I go to continuously, we now get a second set of particles being emitted from the first original particles. So we can change some settings here. I'm going to put the life in seconds to 2, so we have more colors. Let's go to the color overlay, and I'm going to choose this fourth preset on the list, that one right there. I'll set the size of this to just 1, and I need to increase my particles a second so we don't have gaps in between. So I'll go here and set this to maybe 500 or 250. I think 500 is a bit of an overkill, but this is the result basically. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's go to the main particle size and set this to 0. We don't want to see the main particles, we only want to see the secondary ones. Let's go to the aux settings again, and the particles a second, let's set this to 250. So we have way more, and this kind of starts to look like some kind of cloth or something, like a really colorful wavy cloth. And we can turn down the size to 0.5, so it's going to be really quite fine and quite thin. And if we just do a quick run preview, so this is what I get after the run preview. This on its own actually kind of looks pretty cool, but I want to create more organic movement within the particles. So I'm going to extend that turbulence field to the aux particles as well. If I go to the physics in the aux section here, I'm going to set the turbulence position to be 600 also. So now not only do we have turbulence on the main particles, we also have it on the secondary particles, but maybe tone this down to like 250, and then go to the main particle physics and turn that down to about 500. And I think we need more particles. Let's see where we need that, because I can see gaps in between. I want it to be like a completely opaque look. So if I maybe go to the size and go for 0.7, we'll fill in some of those gaps. Let's go to the particles a second in the aux system and bump this up to 350. And let's go to the main particle count and bump this up to maybe 500. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now my problem is just this is simply too opaque right now. Let's go to the aux particle settings and go to the transfer mode. Let's set this to add. So areas which overlay each other are gonna be bright, and I think that just adds some depth to it. And then I'll go to the feather and set this to 0. This will actually make it more opaque, but I'm gonna go to the opacity and bring this down to maybe 25 or so, maybe even less, something like 15. Okay, and I think that looks pretty cool. You can of course mess around with the colors, see what kind of color you prefer. You can actually use your own custom colors. You don't have to use the presets that are given to you. But I actually really like this yellow, red, pink to purple preset, so I'm gonna keep it. Okay, so that's it for this comp. Let's pre-comp the whole thing. So pre-comp the light and the particles, and call this particles 01 pre, and hit OK. And then in the main comp, we're gonna shut the eye off and make this into a 3D layer. We're gonna create a new solid and call this particles 02, and we'll load up particular again. Go to effect, Trapcode Particular, and we'll set the emitter type to be layer, and then we'll set the layer emitter to point toward our particles 01 pre. Make sure that this is a 3D layer, otherwise this is not going to work. So let's set the layer to be our target layer, and now when I scrub through this, you're going to see particles appear which have RGB values based on the comp below. I'm going to bring it back because we want this to overlay of these particles. So we have to change a whole bunch of settings. First of all, I'm going to increase the number of particles a second to 250, maybe even 500. I want quite a lot of them around. I'm going to go to the particle settings and set the life in seconds to maybe just 2. The size maybe 10. Sphere feather, set that to 0. And the size, I think 10 is too much. Let's bring it down to 7.5, and the size random to maybe 50, just to create some variation. And I'm going to bump this down even more to just 5, and maybe the variation, bring that down to 35. Okay, I kind of like the look of this. I will go to the opacity, and I'm gonna go to the opacity over life here, and I will set this to this graph at the bottom here, where as the particles start to die out, they will keep flickering back to 100%. So it's gonna appear as if they're like sparkling on and off the screen, which is the exact effect that we have going on here. If you just look at these particles, they appear and then sort of disappear instantly and then reappear, and then they keep doing that. So if we go back to the main comp here, let's just add more disruptions in the opacity here. Where there's a clear line, this is where the particle is going to go and drop to 0, and then the tow lines, they will go back to 100% again. So it's going to be a flickery looking animation. I'm going to set the transfer mode to add, and set this layer's blending mode to add, so it really fuses in with the layer behind. I'm going to duplicate this layer and increase the particles a second to 1,000, and go to the size, and I will set this to just 1, and the size random, let's 0 this out. And I'm going to go to random seed and just slide this to the right to get a random number. So now we have a second set of smaller particles which also turn on and off really quickly, and they appear as if they're flickering. So let's do another run preview and see where we are. Okay, so after the run preview, this is what I have, and I really like the result. I could probably go a little easy with the opacity though of the main particles, especially at the end here. It gets really bright, but actually we can maybe try and nerf some of that opacity with adding a background. So if I go to new, solid, call this BG, and put this behind everything, and go to effect, generate, and let's go for ramp. And here we'll have a start color of a light gray and an end color of black, and let's use a radial ramp. So bring this toward the center a little more, and bring the second point all the way down here, and we can maybe darken this, and you know, this lighter background will offset the contrast, but I still think that's actually too bright, but I'm going to leave it anyway. And then I'm going to create a new adjustment layer, go to effect, stylize, and glow, and the radius, will push this up to something like 200, 180, maybe push up the threshold, and this is just going to be a nice overlay effect to help those effects blend in better together. And that is the final result. So thank you for watching. I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and now you can go and make something more awesome than this. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.